Welcome to Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Community with Closers. We have an amazing guest on with us tonight. We got Kedma. I'm so pumped for this. It's been a while coming, but I'm super pumped. We got a jam-packed, like I said, 30 to 45 minutes, right? Listen to it on the way to your job, you're working out. This is the podcast to be on. So, guys, we ask that you share this out. Please pass it along because this might be something that your colleague, your friend, somebody needs to hear because honestly, we all need to hear it because we can get a little bit into a slump. I know I have. I know you have. So pass this on. We love you for paying attention, getting on here, and watching all these episodes. So without further ado, I want to bring Kedma on. What is up, Kedma?
What is up, everyone?
Yeah.
So excited.
Super pumped to have you on here. So I was going to read your bio, but it is jam-packed. I want you just to give a brief synopsis of what you got going on, because I know you have a lot. You've traveled the country. You got stuff going on. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world.
Well, so much. And first of all, if you've met me or connected, please let us know. I love to reach out and reconnect with people. Just came back from Ireland. Yes. Now, I don't go for a week. I went for 4 weeks. I took my family for 4 weeks. And that's one of the things I want to inspire people. I believe that the majority of people dream of traveling, Coach.
Yes.
But I travel to dream. So I build my life around travel. I always have for 30 years. So we spent a month, and I do that every year. Every year I choose a country. And we spend a month and we get to explore the culture.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. And it's very possible. So if you're listening and you're like, I don't know how it's possible, it is possible. And I can definitely share some ways. And then my newest adventure, Leaders Love, it's our clothing brand. So, I got into the clothing industry because I think that what we wear, our uniform, our display, sends a message to people. And, I think we need more authentic leaders. I don't know about you, Coach Pat, but I just think it's time to dial up. And instead of just grilling and drilling and putting people down and firing them, we need more kindness, understanding, authenticity, transparency. And you know what? It sells. The data tells us it sells. So, I'm in the business of selling. And so, lots of projects. I have a credit enhancement program I'm working on because you know what? I love helping people get money and make money.
Yes.
So that's what I'm about,
I love your book. Target funding was
my book. Yeah. Target funding. Yep. You know what? 3 years it took. 3 years.
Wow.
Reverse engineered how to find money for people not bankable and help leverage $100 million in grants. Love finding money. Love it. So I don't know, just blessed to see you. And I want to seal the deal and close the deal and have fun today and see what we can do together.
That's what we're going to do. That's for sure. But I want to hone in. So, people who are viewing, right, we're a little bit of a down. Some people are on a down season this year because we're in election years, down a little bit, but not much. And we're going to be talking about pivoting a little bit. We're going to be talking about mindset. Yeah. But with that being said, is like you hit the nail on the head because traveling, right? A lot of people since COVID, right, have been traveling. They've been doing the RV thing. I know for us, like we went out for 30 days, same thing, took the bus with the family. I was in the school bus, right? People call me the Partridge family. I was like, oh my goodness. But it was a blast. Like we got to connect, you know what I mean? Like the kids in a bus, 30 days, like you're really going to connect on that. And so it was a blast going from park to park, seeing things, right? The Grand Canyon. And so what you were talking about, seeing different things and really diving into the different cultures and like getting inspiration.
Oh, getting inspiration. Truth.
I love it because like
Truth.
when we were driving, I'm driving around. It's kind of like that show. It's like the Cadillac lawyer
Yeah.
or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And he drives and he gets ideas, he gets inspired, he sees things, right? And so I think business owners do that a lot, and salespeople do that. Is
Yeah.
like we can get in our head and we got to really hone in on the things that really matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
yeah. And so that's what we did. You have to sometimes take a break because you get burned out. And as you know, with sales and like
Yeah.
growing multiple companies as you have, like it's a lot. And that's where that transparency comes in because everybody sees the wine, but they don't see the crushing of the grapes, as
Oh, yeah.
Josh Larimer would say. And
Absolutely.
I think in the sales world, more people are getting beat up now than ever because there's so many ads, there's so many different pop-up companies, whatever it may be. But
Yep.
there's no freaking excuse, right? Like there's opportunity. And are you diving into it? So, I want you to kind of talk about the mindset, the opportunities. Like you're taking advantage of a lot of opportunities. You got a maid service, you got all
Yes.
going on, and you're like diving into the opportunity where some people are like, it's an election year. I don't know if I'm not really going for 20% growth this year. 10 will be great. Right?
You know what? There's so much that we can unpack here. First of all, I want to give a story because humans learn from stories. Mm-hmm. When I was traveling in Ireland, there was a lot of opportunities for me to learn, to process. And I'm going to tell you the biggest lesson I learned about cultivating the right relationship with your employees, your team, to get them going in the right direction. Because that's all we always want. We talk about, trying to have the right team so we can scale the company, and then we can't find the right team, and then we can't scale the company. How many times have you heard that conversation over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, so many.
So let me tell you where I learned my lesson. And it wasn't in a book. It wasn't in a podcast. You ready for this, guys? You got to pay attention because this is going to be amazing. Ready? I went to a sheep farm. Now, check this out. You're going to love it. When I was at the sheep farm, the sheep master introduced us to the sheepdog. Now, you have to imagine there was acres and acres of land, okay? And these sheep are all in different areas. And he brought the sheepdog. And with his eyes, he was able to command three things. But with his eyes, the sheepdog was able to go. And there was moments where he was crawling, but the goal was you can't scare the sheep. So the sheepdog knew how close he had to be so he didn't scare the sheep. Now, here's your lesson. How many times as leaders, you're just all over the place and you're on top of your employees and you scare them?
Yeah.
So the sheepdog said, okay, I can't scare them, but I have to get close enough. And then the sheepdog was able to move them all in the right direction. And you would watch in this maze from section to section how the sheepdog just moved. And I thought, this is what we want in leaders. Mm-hmm. The ability to roadmap and be a master in moving the community in our direction. And it wasn't the sheep that was the issue. If the sheepdog did not know what to do, it was the sheepdog that is the issue. So how many times, Coach Pat, do we realize that it's us as leaders that is the issue, not the employees?
Yeah. That's huge.
Huge.
Because they're always like, can't get a good salespeople, can't get good leaders in the company. And you really have to look inwards. And as you know, we've been coaching for a long time and we see it a lot of times. And, they always have the answer, right? It's like, you can't really talk to them, or they're all over their staff. And that's a great point because I actually had this exercise. I think you've heard of me say it before, where I had the monkeys. Mm-hmm. And when I would go into the office, we were at 25 plus employees and they would come in, they're like, Pat, and they would try to give me their monkeys off their back.
Right.
Because they weren't leading, right? They weren't.
Right.
They were like, being roadblock, need help. And so I went on Amazon and I bought these buckets of monkeys, red ones, yellow ones. And I had these buckets for all the departments. And I would say, come in the office, and I would hand them the monkey.
No way.
And I would say, take your monkey back. I said, you got to look at what you're doing.
I love that.
they would have it, right? And if they had a certain amount of monkeys and I'm doing their job, why do I need them?
Of course.
Right? So it's like looking in, and don't get me wrong, I was not a good leader. There was points where I was doing the same thing, right? I had to look in and change myself, but every time I did, my business would level up, right? Every time. But we see it all the time where, you know, they're saying the same thing, or I can't get employees, or, you know, it's the economy, or it's an election year again. How many election years have we been through? Like, we know from track records. But what are you seeing? You know what I mean? Like when you're getting, so for instance, salespeople, right?
Let's talk about salespeople.
Yeah. So things change, right? When you're hiring, and this goes, like you said, with the sheepdog, right? Like you could be all over your sales team and you can, you know, squash them.
Exactly.
What does that look like in a home service business?
Okay. So let's talk about a few things. The first is I run a residential cleaning company, but I'm in it less than 5% of my time. People are like, how is that possible? Well, first of all, my time is worth $1,000 an hour, and every employee knows that. Yeah. The second thing is every single person who works in my company at every stage, from the admin to the marketing and to the technician, they're all in sales.
Mm-hmm. This is huge.
They're all in sales.
Everybody's in sales.
Everybody is in sales. There is nobody who works for me that is not in sales. Period. End of story.
Yep.
Because at every moment they're selling what? They could be selling a relationship. They can be selling a concept. Mm-hmm. They could be selling an experience.
Yeah.
They're constantly selling. They're selling their position. So we got to start thinking about the entire company is a sales company. And you happen to be offering whatever, fill in the blank. But it's a sales company.
Yeah.
You just happen to be doing plumbing, or you happen to do residential, but it's a sales company.
Yep.
So that would be the first shift. The second shift is to ask ourselves, what are we selling? Mm-hmm. So if you ever watch how I sell, I'm not really selling. I'm infusing trust. I'm building transparency. I'm telling them everything they need to know so they make the right decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not like a sleazy salesperson. So my question back to you is, what are you hearing? Because what I'll tell you I'm hearing is this. It's the same old thing I've heard 100 years ago. I've only been doing it for 25 years, but if I was 100 years old, I'd hear the same thing. Oh, we can't have it'd be the farmers complaining they can't find someone. It'd be the merchants complaining they can't find someone. So the story is old, Coach Patrick. It's an old story, and people are playing it over and over again. And I think that there's a different way of playing the game. Mm-hmm. So, people are going to complain. You want to know what people are complaining about? Nothing new. Yeah. Economy, not finding the right team, not their competitors are stealing their profit. It's always about them, and nobody's looking inside.
Yeah. Yep. You have to do a deep dive.
Or you don't. We talked about this.
Yep.
I say you don't.
Or you just stay the same.
I say you stay the same.
Yeah.
Right? Because how many times have you in your own podcast been sharing with them all the answers? And then you and I had a conversation offsite and you're like, people still aren't changing.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know if your audience can respond, but I'm going to just disclose that I'm a recovering addict. I'm sober 30 years. So if you're a recovering addict, congratulations. But I have a point for this. There was nobody in my life that could stop me from being an addict except me. Mm-hmm. And if I wanted to just, end my life and drink myself to the end and break all my relationships, guess what? That's my will.
Yeah.
I get to do it. And I think so many of us are addicted to poor decisions, and we don't want to let go of those decisions.
Yeah. This is true. Now, why are they stuck though? Like, this is what me and my wife talk about a lot is like, why do they stay in that? They don't have to do that, right? Like they can still be in that area, but do it better with what they have.
Good question. Why do people stay stuck?
I know.
Because one of the reasons I believe to just in the, I've coached over 10,000 people. When you're stuck, there's an element of comfort, even if it's painful. So I'm going to bring you into a fable story. Okay. Actually, I think it's a true story, but I want to share it. It's not my stories, but I heard about it. Many years ago, there was a gentleman who was driving in a truck in a beautiful part of the US. It was very quiet and it was farmland. And he could see, place after place, like just gorgeous farmland. And it was very quiet. And as he's driving, he hears to the right of him this dog yelping with pain, like yelping. And he sees the farmer, and he's on a porch, and he sees the farmer rocking his chair, and next to him is this dog yelping. So the gentleman got upset and didn't know what was happening. So he stopped the vehicle and he yelled out enough to the farmer, and he said, "Is your dog okay?" And he said, "Yeah, he's just sitting on a nail." And he said, "Well, can you help him?" He goes, "Well, if it hurts bad enough, he'll move." My lesson is sometimes people are so comfortable with what they know that the only way to move it is if it hurts bad enough, they'll move.
Ooh, that's good. It's so true. So true. Yep. And that's getting out of their comfort zone, right? That might be hiring the person that they know they need to hire, but it's uncomfortable because they might be smarter than them, right?
Right.
Like, I've heard that.
They might be smarter than them.
Yeah.
Or I like to say that every entrepreneur I've met has control issues. So I say, raise your hand. Hi, my name is Kedma, and I am a control freak. Who else is a control freak? And because we live in this need for having control, our fists, imagine like this is how our brain is. And how do you expect to get energy and information through something like this? You have to let go. Got to drop. So, I believe that people have the answer, but to have the answer and to do what has to be done is a very long road. Yeah.
Especially if you're talking to pain, right? Like they kind of go away from that. But I mean, that's what it takes. Like when you look at entrepreneurs and you look at their stories, you really look at their stories, right? This isn't a glamour thing. This is like hard work. Right. It's sacrifice. There's so much in it. And it hurts. But I mean, for me anyway, 18 years of this stuff, right? Like I wouldn't change a thing. But it had to break me down through the different levels to get me where I'm at now. Like you get thicker skin. There's a lot of things that happen to you, I think, as a person, right? Like your mind's going to change. I mean, there's so much because you really learn people. And I know for me, especially for you, we've hired hundreds of salespeople.
Yep.
And we know when you do an interview, they can talk the talk. They're selling you.
Exactly.
And they walk the walk. And so I've hired guys that I'm like, oh, this guy's excellent, right? And then you get them on and they do the same stuff all the time. And you're like, whoa. And then you really get to read people. And so like with the sales side, you got to be really careful. And I talk about this a lot because if you hire the wrong person, right, these people are your front runners.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing the quoting and they can hurt you. They can still make their commission and you don't make anything.
Amen. And two things. One is, I don't know how many people remember or know your story, but I mean, you came from trailer park experience. You came from rough moments. You came from, a very difficult family environment. So I'm going to push it back to you. How come you're here today?
I know. That's so.
No, you tell the audience why. You could have failed. You could have given up. You had every reason to give up.
All the excuses, right? And I got my sign right here. You can't deposit excuses. But, when you look at that, I knew down deep that there was something better. There's something more, right? Like you got that burning desire inside. And so I knew I had to get the heck out of there, number one. And, I guess from being in the trailer park, you know what I mean? Like you get to learn. I was mowing lawns. I always had that hustle, that drive.
Yeah.
But I knew there was more, right? I knew that
But how did you know there was more? Nobody woke up and said, "Oh, hey, Pat, I want you to know there's more." You were broke.
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot of opportunities. So how did you know? Was it a feeling?
I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's the burning desire. You know what I mean? That feeling of like, there's more to it. You know, or is there more? Or is there like a vision of it? You know, I don't know. I do remember moving out of the park and moving in with my best friend. And that was another level up, right? But I don't know. I could have had the excuse. Like I had literally the keys to the trailer and I could have moved in. I could have been paying $350 a month.
You could have been there right now.
I know. And thank God I'm not. But that's the reality of it, is like I could have been, right? And I knew I needed to get out of there. I knew that there was something that I could be doing better, helping more people.
But you're talking about mindset, and this is part of closing. So my question is, what pushed you to make that decision? Because you had every right, actually, to not be where you are today, to be honest.
I know. I had a lot stacked up. And that was the thing. Like everybody was like, you'll be in jail by 18 or dead by 20. You know what I mean? And so I really don't know. Like I actually keep searching for this because it's interesting. Because I sold the trailer. I was like, I'm selling that thing. Right. Yeah. And then that was the same exact time I literally found my grandma's wedding ring. And then I proposed to my now wife, sold the trailer and moved from New York to South Carolina on a whim. So yeah, I don't know. I did know I wanted to start a business because I always worked for, my uncle was self-employed. He was
you told me that. Yeah.
And so what it is, mindset, right? Is like,
but were you born with it? That's what I'm trying to ask you.
I don't think so. I know I had like from my mom going down and selling shamrocks, like at the grocery store. Like that's the only thing I could think of. Like I was uncomfortable because everybody at freaking school was like, holy cow, you know what I mean? And they're like, you're selling shamrocks downtown for $1. I felt like that's the lowest of low, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at that point it was like, we needed it. And I was helping my mom. So that's all that mattered.
I should have bought you a shamrock from Ireland.
Oh, that would have been epic. Yes.
You know, so if we speak about closing and mindset, you know, I typically share on anytime I'm speaking that I've lost everything twice in my life. And you know this, right?
Yeah.
And for people who don't know my story, and it's not to design it for, you know, oh, woe's me because I don't play a victim, was, you know, at the age of 18, I was on the run and I was in hiding for 5 years because my life wasn't in danger. And it was not a, you know, it was not a choice. It was like, you know, you have to do what you have to do. And when I was in that apartment and I lived in hiding for 5 years, it was infested with cockroaches. I didn't have the family environment, but I tell you what I did have. Whatever you believe is what your belief, but I had faith. I had faith. And the faith was that nobody wanted someone like me, but everybody would want someone that could be some kind of hero. And that's when I took on the persona of becoming, in my mind, a superhero, because I didn't have it. I didn't have that upbringing. I didn't have that cherishing. I didn't have that love. I didn't have that opportunity. But what I could do is I could transform myself into someone else that could be that. And I think for some of you who are listening and will watch this, maybe you have to go through a transformation. Maybe you have to let go of the old you that has been coming here and giving excuses and telling us all the time, well, this is wrong. And maybe you have to reset and create another persona.
Yeah.
That's what worked for me. And it's not easy, but it's what I had to do to get away from that person that I didn't want to be.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So, you know, so as we talk about your, you know, the closers and selling and just leveling up, what do you believe is the biggest struggle that your audience is facing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are seeing a down economy a little bit, and they're not pivoting, right? So, I mean, we just had the huge convention, right?
Yeah.
Awesome event, but there was guys that are like, man, it's been a hard year this year, right? And I was hearing a lot of that at the huge convention. It's different. Times are, different. And we're about 2 months behind of a normal swing or normal ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And so it was a mindset thing that, we're looking at all the things, the social media, you know what I mean? The industry, and we're not just going after it. We're putting up with the norm. That's what I'm saying.
It's really hard for me to buy into it, and I don't want to disrespect people about the economy, but I have lived in multiple countries, and gosh darn it, we have one of the most wealthiest and incredible countries in the world. If you have not been to third world countries before and really experienced the poverty, and I'm not taking away from people's experience, because what we experience is what we experience.
Yeah.
But the wealth and the opportunity in front of us is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And even if the economy was down, so what? Outside of COVID, I can show you, for 100 people who are complaining, Coach, I can show you 100 people making a lot of money.
A lot of money right now.
And guess what? They're in the same economy. So now what?
Yeah. That's it.
So now what?
Yep. And that's where we go back to, is like the excuses, right? Like, you got to go get it. You got to pivot. And that's the thing. So, like, I'm going to be speaking at John Majak's Gutter Summit, right? We're going to be
talking John. Hey, John.
Yeah, John is the man. So make sure you check that out, because that's coming
John's
out.
Awesome.
45 days. But, like, we're going to be talking about optimizing opportunity, right? And it's out there. Like, are you cross-selling? So are you teaching? Like we talked about, you said it perfectly earlier. Is everybody on your team selling? Whether it's at the gas station selling, their competitor employee to come onto your team, right? Like, what are you doing to train? And I think that's the biggest thing, is like, and I'm not, saying everybody's like this, but you get lazy and you don't train, and you don't get the guys at the shop in the morning. You're not doing the morning huddles. Right? You're letting them come in and go, and it's just this free flowing thing. And so, you need to be on your A game with your business. But if you're not, like you said, 5%, you're only there 5%, but I guarantee you got a great staff and you're leading.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's somebody there leading it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we use EOS, and we have our level 10, and everybody has to report in every single day. I mean, I tell anybody who works with me, there is no hidden cubicles.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not as bad as Coach Pat, who hides somewhere below like the roof checking on his team.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know about that, he does do that. But you know what? I'm pretty close to that. Like, everybody's got to pull their weight. Now, on the other hand, as a leader, there's a few things that I incorporate. I want to make some suggestions. The first is, from data, the stats, and of course we could argue what the stats are, but the stats say that 80% of employees will quit if they are not appreciated.
Yeah.
So you can do simple things like, hey, I appreciate you. I do that all the time. Even if I have to give difficult feedback, like if today, right before I came on, I was talking to one of my staff person. And I'm like, you got to be more efficient. Okay. I expect this to be done at a much faster pace, or else I take you off the project. I don't play around.
Yeah.
Then I go, now listen, I know it was hard, but it's not because of you. I love you. I care about you. And I want you to be successful. But you are now the gateway to what we need to do. And if you're not efficient, we're not efficient. And I appreciate you. Is there anything I can say? You know what she said? She said, I love that you're such a transparent leader, which brings me to the next statistics I want to share. 25% of your productivity goes up if you are a transparent leader.
Yeah.
Stop holding the goods. Stop not telling people where you are financially. I don't want them to know. And no, tell them.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can improve. Tell them where you're profiting. Tell them what they can do to better themselves. Don't just keep all that. You got to be transparent.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, Coach Pat, so many of the problems we have, we create for ourselves.
That's so true. Yep. And a lot of people do that. And they'll create problems just to, have chaos.
Oh, I hate chaos.
I know.
Chaos,
But they'll do it. They'll do it.
Right.
They'll create problems to have chaos, or things are running too smoothly, and I've seen business owners, they get into it. Even salespeople, they're like, man, this is too smooth. And they'll get into it.
You know what? I think I just did a video on this, that so many of us have been trained to have what we call relentless drive. You've heard it, right? Have relentless drive, have relentless drive. And I thought about it. Could you imagine if you and I were going on a trip? Let's say we're doing a road trip from Oregon to New York, and the entire experience was relentless driving.
Wouldn't make it. Wouldn't make it.
You wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't make it, right? Because now when I give you the image, you go, well, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So my new term is, you can have a restful drive. You're still driving, but you don't have to kill your nervous system to get there.
Yeah.
If you're driving relentless, you will burn out. Your team will burn out. So I think that when it's time to sprint, but most of us are in a marathon.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to run differently. And sometimes you got to walk. Sometimes you got to crawl. You can't be running the whole time, running a sprint when you know it's a marathon.
Yep. That's so true. And I mean, nature is, we were just talking about this the other day, because nature is perfect for this, because you have fall, you have winter, like you have rest, right? Like you need that. You can't be going, because you'll burn out. And we see that a lot in the exterior cleaning industry, is like October, right? Like our team, we have people quit in October. And I guess 8 years ago, we used to have a lot of people that were just burnt out, because we were getting through that spring rush and they were just burnt out. And so we were like, what the heck are we doing wrong? We were just driving them where there was no rest.
And I'm glad you brought this up. So I want to give you an image of a badge, right? Like, if you have a badge, I think about people in the military, right? They've worked so hard, and they have something to represent that, right? A representation of all the hard work. And yet how many coaches, or how many, I coach all the time, but how many pros that are being coached, they hold a badge and they proudly tell you that they're working 70, 80, 90 hours a week. You know what I say? Yeah, we're not sending brownies over there today. Like, you're not getting a sticker. Yeah. You're not getting an award. That is not something to be proud of. If you are doing that, you can do it as a sprint. But if you're doing that as a marathon, what is the message you're telling your employees? What is the message you're telling your partner? What is the message you're telling your children? So, you know what? I think that we all have 24 hours in a day. We can accomplish a lot if we do the right things. So it's managing your time. It's not being all things to all people. It's not doing everything. It's what is that one thing you can do better than anyone else? So I'm going to ask you, Coach Pat, you do so much. You do franchising, you do podcasts, you work with employees, you build companies. But if you had to narrow down the one thing, just one, that you do better than no one else in your ecosystem, what would that be?
I really know it. I love it, because I love up on my team. I inspire and I train them really well. And that's where I show up every week for our team.
Perfect. So that's what we have to make sure everyone who's listening knows exactly where it is. Now tell us, for the audience, I'm going to call you out. Where is one part of your business that you suck? You're awful. Don't put you in that role. You would not do well.
You know that. It's the accounting. I'm just like, spend it. Let's go. Yep. Don't put me there.
But you know what? To know that is the first step of saying, okay, now where do I spend my energy?
Yeah.
Where do I spend my energy? So one thing you did call out, and I want to give a stat because I loved it, and I did a lot of homework before coming here. Close to 80% of the leaders in the community say that their business increases like exponentially 4 or 5 times the amount when they're focused on data-driven metrics. Yeah. So all these people who talk about sales, I'm curious to know, what is the training and metrics they have to make these salespeople successful? In every department, I have it. Is it your callbacks? Is it how long they're on the call? Is it how long? Is it the estimate? Is it the upselling? Is it how many posts, followers from a post? Like, how many times do you have people who are like, well, I just did a 2-week training and I'm just putting them out there and I don't know why they're not doing anything.
Yeah, I feel like they're not doing anything, or I feel like they're doing good. And then you actually dive into the numbers and you look at the ADL and you look at the close ratio and you have these KPIs. But that's the thing, is like the sales system, right, that we get into. And it's like, you have to have it for every department, the call center, right?
Every department.
Like, are you listening to the calls? Or are you answering the phone right now and you're up on the roof and you're like, I'll call you back. And guess what? It falls through the cracks.
Like, I'll give you an example. We're a boutique cleaning company, and we are not the company that you call where someone says, hey, can you give me a price over the phone? And can you come and do my home cleaning, in 12 hours? We're not that. So we have issues with Google because a lot of times the leads in Google don't work for us. Other leads work for us, right? So my team has to always say to the people, I'm sorry, we don't give over the phone, or I'm sorry. So I said to my team, guys, you're salespeople. Figure out a script. Yeah. You know what they're saying it, so don't keep saying it. You got to find it out. So we're modifying the script, but one of the scripts right now is, if you call, we say, you know what, Pat? We know your time is urgent. We know you need to have something done in the next 24 hours. Is it because it's a move in, move out? Because if it is, we may have to prioritize. We'll charge a lot more, but we may have to prioritize that.
Yeah.
But if it's something that you can wait maybe the next 7 days, let us come out and do a free, no cost estimate. And if you love it, we'll throw in a free oven cleaning for you.
Boom. There you go. Yeah, you're creating that. You're asking for.
And then they're thinking, well, I'm willing to, because you know what? An oven cleaning is not cheap. And it's a lot of work. And half of the people definitely need an oven cleaning. So then they start thinking, okay, you know what? I don't really need it tomorrow. I was just impulsive. Yeah, you know what? Come out Monday. Let's see if we can make it work. And usually we can book them within a week. So we're not saying wait a month or 2 months, But the point is that it goes back to every single person has to know what their role is, and they have to know that they're a salesperson.
Yeah. Yep. And I think you pivoted too. You know what I mean? Like that's a great example of Google leads or Angie leads, right? Are they working? Are you making them work for you?
Yeah. And I want to throw out some things, because when I started my company, I said to my team, I will not use Google for 6 months. They're like, you're crazy. I said, no, I'm not crazy. I'm just going to play the game differently. So I want to share a couple of things I brought down when we're thinking about sales. First thing I did, I partnered with my bank. Let me tell you what I did. You see, I knew that the bank cared about the community. And I knew that they wanted to support businesses in the community. So check with your local bank. I submitted an application. And in order to win the application, you have to show the work you can't just say, oh, I'm in the cleaning business. You have to show, what are you doing to really make a difference in your community? Well, we're not just a cleaning company. We're actually in the mental health space. We infuse mental health in every cleaning we do because we believe cleaning is an extension of mental health. We talk about cortisol levels. We talk about stress. We talk about increasing joy. So we submitted that on the application. We got accepted. So guess what happened? For 2 months, the bank had our display, only us, in the bank.
Dang.
And then they were promoting us on their social media platform. So what did we do? we put a raffle there.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 months, we had 60 customers submit because they wanted to win.
Yep.
Well, guess what, Coach? Every person in that raffle won. Because my team goes, now you know where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
My team calls, congratulations, you've won. Here are your 3 options.
That's awesome. This is how you close, guys, right here.
So my team is closing left and right, and there is no competition. The people put in the raffle to use us.
Yep.
Okay. So they win. Every single person in the raffle is winning. We just don't know what they're choosing, but they all won.
Yep.
Okay. The second thing is, I want to really hit this hard. There's a book, Who, Not How. And I know this. So what did I do? In the first 60 days running it in Portland, Oregon, I didn't have a lot of marketing dollars, but I had influence. So I joined BNI. However, let me tell you what the however is. BNI, Business Networking International. I joined BNI. And at the time, our BNI was not number 1. Now it is. And I said, I'm going to create a home service BNI experience. And I created the first home services BNI. So in order to be in the home services BNI, you had to be accepted to BNI first. Okay, so that I didn't have to deal with the vetting, and I had to, they had the 5-star. Well, today we have 12 5-star, unbelievable home services partners, and we meet every week, 30 minutes. We run a tight ship, right? And what are we doing? We're working together. We built a website, Trusted Home Advisors. Okay. We have now collaborated in co-marketing. So in February, I'm the keynote for one of the biggest expos coming in town. And we are the top vendor because of the 12. And now we have just started into publications because, if it's $5,000 to get in to get the top vendor, but there's 12 of us, it's very cheap.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to leave, and then I'll pause. I want you to just put this in your brain. With 12 people, and they all have flyers, and we built a flyer that shows the top 12. Every estimate that goes out, Coach Pat, for the other 11 has our name on it.
Yeah.
And what it does is, here's the flyer, and it says, hey, I know I'm coming in for HVAC, but these are all the 5-star vetted. And if you need a cleaning company, you don't have to do the homework. This is the company.
Nice. That's huge.
Huge.
Yeah. And that goes back. So we're gonna tie this up. We're landing the plane now. And so that goes into mindset, right? Are you thinking outside the box, or are you just doing the norm? Because that's thinking outside the box. So you went to the bank, filled out the application. Everybody won.
Everybody won.
Can't beat that, right? And why not? Why not?
Why not?
We talk about free cleanings in past episodes too. These are things that get you in the door and get you the life, long longevity of that client.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking at. So that's huge, Kedma. That's the way to do it right there.
So what do we leave the audience with for action? Because I'm all about getting to action. So what do you typically leave the audience with?
I always ask the guest, I'm like, okay, so what are you going to leave with the audience? But that's the thing. We normally leave them with an actionable item, and that's the thing, because they got to do it. So what are some things that they can do, like you, right, to break that mindset? Because we know. First
one.
Yes.
Do they have access to your email or messaging, or can they reach you at any time? Is there a way for them to reach you? Is there?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Then they need to send you a message of the one excuse they're going to give up.
Ooh.
They got to call their shot.
Yep.
They got to call their shot. So that would be the first thing. They got to send you a message and say, I am going to give up, fill in the blank. Perfect. I'm going to give up complaining about the economy. And they got to date it and send it with their info and send it to you. Because if you're not accountable to someone else, you're not going to do the work.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is, I want to like drop the link. I have because I run a clothing company, you know that.
Yep.
Leaders Love. And we have a community on school, so they can always hop in free.
Yeah.
No, nothing, right? Anytime we can be around people that we love, we trust, I would say that that's another opportunity. And the third one is one small movement in the right direction. It doesn't have to be a big change. One small movement. Because if I tell them to do a big movement, they won't do it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were going to go to the gym, I would say, don't go to the gym for an hour. Just show up for 5 minutes. Work out for 5 minutes. So I would say one small thing. But the biggest thing is excuse. Getting into a community that is not going to take your BS. And one small thing. Hey, Cameron, thank you.
That's it. Yeah, Cameron's like,
Cameron, come on. Cameron did it.
But there it is, guys. So that's huge. So either message me. You can message me that one thing that you're going to
one excuse.
Yep, that one excuse. Or jump on the school community with Kedma.
Where can I give the info? What would be the best way, Coach?
So you can go right in the chat, and you can actually drop the link in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, let me figure out how to do that because right here.
Okay. Go down at the bottom, and then you'll see the chat. Yep.
Okay.
Put the link right in there.
All right. Wait a minute. I'm going to the chat. Oh, chat with everyone?
Yep. That's it.
Okay. That's our Leaders Love community.
Link right in there.
And listen, if anyone wants to reach out, here's the thing I always tell people. My door is always open. You can send me a message. You can connect with me on Facebook. I always am open for a conversation. And I've been saying that, Coach, for 30 years. And you know what? I get maybe in the thousands of connections I do, maybe 5 people take me up on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
So
I know I have in the past.
What?
I said, I know I have in the past. I'm trying to get that knowledge.
So I'm going to offer it up. If you want to have a conversation, I'm open to it. But just, it can't be us. You got to get it done.
She will call you out and she will find the decision maker. I promise you.
Well, before we go, Coach, because you and I have worked together and I've coached you and we've been in good. How would you describe my coaching style?
So it's loving and it's in a way of, I'm going to call you on your BS, but you cut right through it. Like you can read between the lines and you keep people in their lane and you make them execute. Like that's at the end of the day, you make them execute because you bring it home. You know what I mean? You bring it around to where people will try to get those excuses or talk themselves out of it. And then you hit them with the truth and you're authentic, right? Yeah. And you've been doing it a long time. So I think you can really dive in and you ask the right questions to get to the root of the problem. Yes. I've seen that over and over again, which is a skill.
Yeah. Well, whatever I can do to serve you, because you are bringing the game, you are authentic, you are the real deal, and you inspire so many people, Coach. You really do. So I feel very honored, very blessed. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to chat. And, anything I can do, it's all about win-win and give. Just let me know.
I really appreciate that. Well, likewise, right back at you. So there you guys have it. Appreciate you, Kedma. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in right here, Community with Closers. So we're here Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, every Wednesday. Thank you all for tuning in. And like I said, go back, hit the replay if you're just getting it, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube. Appreciate you all. Have an amazing night. We'll see you next Wednesday.